For over 50 years, McDonald's has remained a massive influence in fast food and entertainment as a whole. However, during all this time, a cast of characters have been coexisting in a massive and growing story. So let's take a look at what's been going on throughout. Hi everybody, I'm here in the sewer. Because today's topic is so whimsical, I thought I'd best try to match the mood of an interior of a modern McDonald's. Now you may think of McDonald's as a famous burger spot found at every corner of the world, but I promise you by the end, you will see the restaurant and especially its characters in a new light, because trust me, there's been a ton that's happened with these franchise mascots. Now, McDonald's takes place between Earth and McDonald's Land. Its proper pronunciation is McDonald Land, but that sounds significantly dumber, so we're not gonna call it by the correct name. McDonald's Land is simultaneously like the pocket dimension and additional part of Earth that can be traveled to through play places and McDonald's establishments. I would say our starting point is gonna be like 1960. I can't quite determine the exact order of events within the commercials around this time, so bear with me as we go on an onslaught of these nightmare demon creatures. Following the events of the 2016 film The Founder, which is probably faithful enough to the real world story. In his rise to power, Michael Keaton built play place portals capable of letting us see the wonderful world of McDonald's Land to better understand the intricacies of the product. At the start of this epic saga, we have Ronald McDonald, Donald McDonald in Japan, the strongest character in universe who just shows up one random day, and just like everything else, Ronald is the amalgamation of everything chaotic good. He has an incentive to endorse his specific food brand across the adventures he goes on for some unknown reason. Maybe it's his company, maybe he owes his life, or maybe it's because he quite literally lives and breathes in McDonald's, and as seen, he loves interacting with people, and by making these commercials, he's hoping new friends will come and visit him. It's unknown if Ronald has a greater family. There's official concept art that never came into fruition of a full family, but they never get shown, so I'm gonna assume it's a behind the scenes thing where he has like a wife and kids, and his endorsements are a side gig. Now initially, Ronald was more of an idea, a facade. He was still kind of identifying what in specific he was trying to be. Like you'd find old garbage at the back of the restaurant and wear that, somehow creating a magic tray capable of creating an infinite supply of food. Alongside that, we have the first true entryways into McDonald's Land, this being a utopia if you like $2 hamburgers. The agriculture of McDonald's Land is astonishing. Burger plants, talking plants, entire restaurants can be grown and shipped out, saving millions of dollars worth on buildings. These farms have seen bad times with chemicals being introduced into the building plants, and that's why new places lack the whimsy. They look like office buildings. That's why food's so easy to produce at McDonald's. Michael Keaton exports grass-fed McDonald's food and buildings through the portals. This is also when characters start getting pumped out. Each character exists in the marketing with the purpose of endorsing and advertising some portion of the McDonald's menu, and half of them hate Ronald with a big old burning passion. Not all the living burgers though. There's Mayor McCheese, Officer Big Mac, and all the other hamburglings who love Ronald and what he does, which is basically what Officer Big Mac is supposed to do. He's very bad at his job. His only role is to arrest this other guy, the Hamburglar, and he escapes every commercial. It's incredible. Now the Hamburglar does exactly what it sounds like, burgles the hams because he likes eating them. Hate to say it, but having a character who exists just for abducting children in hopes of eating them doesn't sound very marketable, but it's okay, he's a mainstay now. And then after that, the McDonald's people said, let's make the Hamburglar again, but a pirate. And that's why Captain Croc exists, with the same reason of stealing a menu item, this time the Filet-O-Fish. I'm sure you're all shocked to hear this character isn't very popular. How many people get a fish at McDonald's? That's on you. Then there's the Professor, and truth be told, he's pure filler. Every once in a while he makes an invention, and that's really about it. Professor's main objective is trying to make the perfect burger, and every time Ronald corrects him, stating McDonald's already has the perfect burger, and despite having proof directly shown to him, he continues with his goals anyway. He's got a flat earther mindset, but I agree. Culver's is right there. I like Culver's more. More weird characters. Okay, so the Fry Kids are these gibberish pom-pom freaks that run around and gobble up fries. This is the point where I realized the mascot characters in that one episode of Smiling Friends were based on all these guys. Same deal with the Happy Meal gang and the McNugget buddies. More tiny foods that also live here and are friends with Ronald, being the clown warrior of peace he is. Another iconic character, Grimace. He's purple and stupid and purple. I guess he used to be like a four-armed monster in this primitive McDonald's era. Grimace's character will develop significantly in the future, as we all know, but for the time being, he also wants to steal the food, this time it being milkshakes. They're making characters to make characters. I don't like any of you. The last worthwhile character added to this point is Birdie the Early Bird, existing to promote the breakfast menu. One day, a few of the other characters find this giant egg, and she just comes out immediately, aged a few years, fully clothed, ready to enter the workforce. Birdie's the girl character. You can tell because she has hair and eyelashes, and why is she promoting McDonald's meals known for having eggs? Actually, how do any of these characters feel about being sold for consumption? Why are they okay with it? Is it a religion thing? Is it for purpose? Why are we doing any of this? It's awful. It's awful, it truly is awful. Ignoring all the morally questionable food shenanigans, let's talk about lawsuits. After about a decade of Ronald being a protector and promoter of the sacred McDonald's brand, McDonald's got sued because of plagiarism. Initially, they wanted these guys, Sid and Marty Krofft, to help with the commercials, but partway through it fell through. And after a while, it seemed like these early commercials had something suspicious and malicious going on, something you probably couldn't tell unless you were a Donnie Doo expert. And over the age of 30 at the time. To anyone over the age of 60, first off, you can't hide, there's YouTube analytics. I know you're here, I hope you're doing well, by the way. Second, you might just remember this similar looking show made by the Krofft brothers called HR Pufnstuf that was pretty popular. In actuality, McDonald's Land took a ton of this series, and long story short, McDonald's owed Sid and Marty Krofft a hefty hunk and chunk of doubloons, also needing to reform a good amount of the world to proceed with the IP. So, in 1985, most of the cast in the world got redesigned. In addition, Mayor Big Cheese and Officer Big Mac were permanently removed from the cast. Maybe they retired, maybe the Hamburglar burgled them to death. We may never know, and to be honest, they were pure filler. The most Big Cheese ever did was host Ronald and Grimace having a race around the world for a single burger. That may or may not be a child of his. I don't know where it begins or where it ends. Is any of this okay? Captain Crook and the Professor also basically get dropped from here. They both appear a couple more times, and they're really just additional friends, if anything. Off-screen, Ronald's so likable that he successfully reformed Grimace, somehow removing his spare arms in the process. Alongside this, Hamburglar is being a criminal. A little less, though. So whenever the team need a fourth member, it's gonna be the Potato Chip Ratman. From 1985 to about the early 2000s, we learned a significant amount about the characters and the world. Important things like Ronald's boots having an origin story. This being that the Tooth Fairy gave him a pair. He's never had to like change his boot size. They're sentient. How do you do anything if everything's alive? Sentient food ready for consumption already creates a number of problems in morality. I've always been horrified when this happens in stuff like classic cartoons where everything has eyes and can talk and whatever, because be honest, would you be okay with wearing clothes if your pants were alive? Is it painful or comforting for socks to be used? Or would it be considered like some kind of cuddling? Is it an intimate thought for them? Could you develop genuine feelings for a sentient jean jacket? I'm moving on. Grimace has an extended family tree. Don't think about it too hard. It's just nature running its course. Uncle O Grimacy comes in every March for the Shamrock Shakes, aka the worst milkshakes on the planet. I don't like him by association. He also has aunts that meet up for a picnic one time. They don't have forearms. Maybe it was like an aggression thing for the grammarians to have. I don't know, I can't quite ask one. Though I'm gonna assume it's like a domestication thing. Another new character time. This green thing shows up a couple times. Its name is I Am Hungry. McDonald's really just misses a lot of the time. Like, does this make you wanna have over-salted fries and a burger with perfectly wrong temperature mini pickles? I sure hope not. Like, why would you introduce a new character for virtually no reason? Is it for marketing? Storytelling? This is something that you don't need more creatures for. It's a waste.
You said it, pal!
Who are you?
It's me, your best pal, Lil Choop. I add to your witty jokes. I like volunteering and board games, and I even collect stamps. Don't mind me, buddy, oh pal. I'm just happy to be here.
All right. Anyway, at this point, the McDonald's people were so aware of how much their funny characters had the same quality and appreciation as the carpet of an antique store and decided to change that around. So in 1987, one of the coolest dudes in the universe would make his debut, Mac Tonight. Funny Moon Man playing that dang flying piano. Holy moly, what a champ. I sure hope nothing bad happens to this character or his image. Mac Tonight is a character who shows up in only a few commercials of this era, promotes the food as an end-of-day meal, sings a lovely little tune, and then leaves. Now this makes me want to drink some Sprite that lets me feel every individual vein I have. Get out of here, Captain Stupid. Anyway, what else is going on during the... Ew. Icky. 1988. Oh my god, that skin tumor's alive! So you've heard of E.T., right? I'm sure everybody has. The one with the moon and the bike and that gross rotten finger that looks like mine after I punched a saw that one time. But then plagiarism did a plagiarism and out popped Mac and Me, which is about the same movie, but instead there's a family of aliens that get brought to Earth after nearly starving to death, and the only thing that can save them is the refreshing taste of a Coca-Cola. This is what your body would look like if it was 70% Coke instead of water. Still, you might be asking, Choopo, you wonderful, beautiful, 6'4" mountain of muscles. What does this have to do with McDonald's? Well, near the halfway point, the main kids and the scrotum alien all go to a McDonald's birthday party, and Ronald's there. And then you might go, oh yeah, that's a costume. That doesn't have to be Ronald. Wrong. You're wrong. The credits explicitly say Ronald was played by Ronald, so this has to be part of the story, and it is. This is mandatory, and it's canon. Hooray! To be fair, this little alien dancing on the McDonald's cashier counter is essential to the plot, regardless of the angle you look at it. Simply put, this is a thin veil for a giant commercial. Like, Mac's name comes from the Big Mac, so you know what? He should be a mascot character, not Hamburglar, not the professor. The McDonald's restaurant scene is by far the greatest part of the movie. Now, the movie mainly just shows the kids freaking out when they see Mac do virtually anything. His actions commit property damage, his design commits retinal damage. He saves the main kid from drowning after his wheelchair takes him off a cliff. I could ignore everything once the government shows up and the gang skedaddles from the McDonald's regardless. I just want to share the ending real quick because it's Mac and me. When else am I gonna be able to? This movie is a beautiful accident, just like me. Following a near bar-for-bar E.T. retelling with the alien who drinks Coke that looks like a plastic bag with flesh, the movie ends with the alien family being reunited and still taken into hiding by the ragtag group of main kids. When the characters need supplies, the aliens walk into a grocery store and the father alien gets a gun, so there's a shootout and the really nice wheelchair kid goes in to try to help and the gas station blows up everything, killing all 5 of them instantly. And after the kid's body gets retrieved, guess what? The aliens aren't dead. No! They survived the explosion and they rise from the flames looking ominous and horrifying. They go to the kid, pray an alien prayer, and the kid rises once again. Hallelujah! And there's still more. The aliens become official humans at a church, and somehow they learned how to drive before they learned how to speak. The ground beef monsters can drive. In terms of quality ratings, Mac and Me currently has a 3.4. In my opinion, maybe it should be higher, maybe it should be lower. I don't think it should be 3.4 though. I love this too much. If you ever want to make a horror movie or anything remotely scary, just use some wrinkly, practical, uncanny Muppet thingies. It's always been effective. It's worked on me. And if you're wondering what Grimace is doing during this period, how does Grimace have a network like this at all? 1990, the McDonald's gang gets like weirdly obsessed with the concept of Treasure Island, reading books, and become super story oriented for like no real reason. Like this decade sees a lot of genuine attempts at storytelling, and it's kind of strange to watch. There's one Treasure Island movie that's just a recreation of the Treasure Island book, but with a Grimace in it. Not too much to add there. By the way, I'm pretty sure this is the final appearance of Captain Croc, so he just helps him out. Kind of a weird way for the fish of fillet guy to go, but sure. In 1993, the same thing happens, but this time it's not the same. Ronald finds a quarter of a treasure map and uses his clown vision to detect the poor souls holding the other pieces that are therefore getting in his way. Based on aura alone, all people in the way of Ronald are better off writing their wills and buying a coffin because, oh geez, he obliterates all those opposed to him. If you saw Ronald in a fighting game, you would understand. This is technically the most of McDonald's land we get to see. Overall, a whimsical little place where anything can happen. Pretty above average technical utopia in my opinion. So when Ronald puts the map together, he discovers that the treasure is located on the moon. Here's where the professor can actually contribute. Here he helps to build a rocket that crashes. What a character, wow. So now Ronald and his friends are stranded on the moon finding this treasure, and after a long battle against the distant cousin of one of those green Mucinex guys, Ronald declares, "Alright, Chief, this treasure's useless if I can't go home. I would like it if I could go home and do that." And so, the treasure turns out to basically be this like Bifrost fast travel thing. Nothing spent, nothing gained. Ronald is now able to warp to your address. You're never far away enough from Grimace. And as per usual, Ronald is able to befriend all the enemies he meets, proving yet again he's unironically one of the kindest people in media. The professor's last appearance was this teleportation machine in this one animated short called Ronald and the Adventure Machine. I would call the professor filler, but to be filler in this cast is a compliment. There's just so many random one-off characters, dude. You look at the Happy Patch Gang, a sentient food group, remember this one. I look at Cosmic, and it's just like an alien guy. He establishes McDonald's goes beyond our greater solar system. Ronald's an intergalactic peace icon for the brand. Somehow this character in specific is getting a restaurant named after him. It's like if the next Toy Story was about that one hedgehog guy. Also, as Ronald was on a treasure hunt, Hamburglar was causing problems of his own. There was MC Kids, a game that was about Hamburglar stealing Ronald's bag, and I don't know what their relationship is anymore. I thought they were friends, sometimes they're enemies, but from the sounds of this, Ronald might just be like some weird type of rehab for Hamburglar. Regardless, he's a dick. Commercial-wise, we got about the same story as the 80s. Just these characters interacting and promoting. At one point, they have multiple commercials following them trying to stop the voice-stealing monster. And again, these couple decades do blend in. The highlight of this era would be the influx of adventures, the attempts to tell real stories. The gangs just have a thing for going on quests. Adventure to McDonaldland and Mission to McDonaldland on the CD-ROM. These are typical wacky hijinks games. I'm a big fan of how discomforting this looks. Whenever I take Benadryl, this is what my dreams the following night look like. I would say there's something wrong with me, but I feel like that's pretty obvious. I wrote about Wizard 101 at the length of a thesis. It's 75 pages. Make Kids Adventures. Once again, Ronald is left unattended with a number of children, but he tries his best to be a positive role model. He can't really help his clown makeup genetic condition. He's making the best of what he can. It's a commendable effort, and I think you gotta be a little dense and insincere if you can't at least recognize his intentions as an individual. He means well, and in my opinion, he does. I feel like you gotta be kind of stupid if you don't like Ronald. The next important point to look at lasts from 1988 to 2003. For some incomprehensible reason, Klasky Choopo, that one horrifying face that's spelled completely different from this Choopo, but pronounces the same because the English language is inherently flawed, they took the time to make hour-long adventures following the characters through their McDonaldland adventures. And this is, strangely enough, one of the most important entries of the series. It characterizes the main cast in a way we don't really get to see much outside of short interval commercials. Within seconds, we learn a bunch of new stuff. Ronald, despite being the McDonald's man, lives in a cartoonishly silly building in a real world, so I guess he just commutes, he takes the bus. Second, we have a new character. Ronald has a talking dog, and you know what? That sounds cool, an extra nice animal companion to round out the gang. I don't like Sunday the dog. He's weird and weird looking. I'd like to believe Ronald puts lipstick on his dog. Would it be morally wrong to hope this dog finds a bag of grapes?
I like grapes. When I grow up, I want to be one of those people who stomp grapes into juice.
Lil Choop, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but you can't interrupt unless it's really funny and justified.
Oh yeah, I know that, but I just thought we could get grapes after this and like pick them out of bags in the grocery store.
You know what? That sounds like fun. You're starting to grow on me, you lovable little pimple you. McDonald's Land is animated in this story so we can easily distinguish when characters are in either world. It represents McDonald play places being a temporary escape from the brutal shackles of reality crushing human ambition. It's why slides made in McDonald locations act as portals to the land. Played places are public access warping locations. But that doesn't mean a few characters don't look off though. Birdie looks like she yearns for the taste of human flesh. Grimace looks fine outside of his purple eyes based on the flora of this world, along with just looking at Grimace and how he acts. I'm gonna assume Grimace smokes some heavy, wacky, kooky, crazy McDonald's milkshake cannabis. As for Hamburglar though, he's dripping swag like a broken faucet. Rehab's reformed him into becoming like a pranking friend now. Ronald's rehab seems to be going good for him. Hope he keeps it up. Alongside the regulars, the Fry Kids show up occasionally. The McNuggets are usually evil. Ronald's doing a bad job redeeming this trio. And then there's just actual kids who hang out with the gang. I don't know who these are children. There's 6 episodes, I'll go over everything kind of notable, kind of quickly. They're an okay watch, good level of charm to it, but the general theme is the gang going on adventures, learning lessons along the way. Episode 1 is about everyone going camping. They get rained out and they go into shelter, which they think is a haunted mansion, also leaving Ronald's talking car. By the way, Ronald has a talking car, which, why are you taking slides? You have a vehicle here. The cast gets abducted until it's revealed at the end the McNuggets were challenging them to puzzles. Then one of the kids has like a college professor father who gives them a stern talking to. It's mostly exposition. Pull up your socks for this one. Grimace actually comes from Grimace Island. Initially, the Grimace tribe lived peacefully on the mainland until another tribe stole all their shit. So they danced and got away from society, ripping apart tectonic plates in the process. Although, why would you name your kid after your country? If your island is named Grimace, why would you name your kid Grimace? That's like naming your kid Argentina or Argentino if it's a boy. It's just Grimace. All of his other family members have regular names. His brother is King Ganga, but Grimace is just Grimace. My son is named Venezuela. In this tale, some pirates give Grimace a fake invitation back so he can lead the way to his home, and they get absolutely curb stomped in the process because they thought shooting a fish cannonball at an entire country in broad daylight could get him treasure. No. they get tickled to death and actually die to some sharks. Appropriate time for a dance party ending. Next episode, aliens show up and Hamburglers falls back into bad habits. This leads him to almost being stuck on a 3,000-year vacation. Somehow he's even more inconsistent than my audio quality. Don't believe me? When Ronald's birthday comes up, he feels legitimately awful for not having a present. Then he runs into the new professor who scams him and eventually tries to turn the entire world into babies for some goddamn reason. The most important thing to pick up here is that Sunday stops showing up in live action form. Tragically though, he's still present, just no more puppet. I'm okay with that, even though he looks undercooked and taxidermied at the same time. This is when we learn the Grimace species has kangaroo pouches. In episode 5, they're doing chores in the lab from the first episode so they can all hang out. This is when they find a prototype time machine and the Hamburglar thinks time traveling forward can get them out of chores. That's not how time travel works. Chores will not get done if you time travel forward. Hamburglar, pick a side. So yeah, time travel's canon. Thank God no multiverse. There's cavemen, Western time. Mayor McCheese shows up for a cameo. I would assume this is pre-1985, so it's still up in the air if he was killed or not. Also, this implies the lawsuit stuff virtually does not matter anymore. The McDonald's folks simply just don't want to include them. The gang's looking up for McDonald's Loch Ness Monster. There's also a Scottish relative of Sunday named Scotty. Nothing else of value here. This is the finale, by the way. We never see Sunday or these chicken nuggets for a good while. This show, even though it was able to expose us to more of the world, personally I learned a lot about McDonald's, the standards, the expectations, most of all that I don't really like Birdie. She was kind of annoying, kind of scary. To be fair, I'm bothered by a majority of the cast, and the only one I openly enjoy is Ronald because he's really hard to hate, existing as a good person who teaches valuable life lessons. I mean, he really has world-ending capabilities, but he simply chose a peaceful path in life that I can really respect. Now come to think of it, after this in the 2000s, there's a humongous drought of McDonald's content involving any of the characters. Like, they'd still be in a lot of the places, but they weren't really utilized throughout the decade. Grimace shows up one time in 2009 for a brief cameo in Monsters vs. Aliens and an ad, but ultimately, in this period, the main crew and the world that's been built up for the previous decades are entirely ignored. This is McDonald's having a midlife crisis. You know it's bad when Obama and Shrek are getting more screen time than I am hungry. The only character to remain remotely consistent in use was Ronald, and I'm trying really, really hard to not have any emotional empathy with any of the cast, but Ronald is just a nice guy. Sometimes he goes into houses and offers free McDonald's and the parents are always trusting because of this clown. Because Ronald is a good soul. Ironically, the complete opposite of the company he represents. He feels no wrath, he eats the food from the opposition because he's indifferent toward food rivalries. I feel like all these ads so far have more than proved he's significantly more compelling and likable than we think. So it sucks how little he's used at points, regardless of how you feel of McDonald's or the food itself. It's funny how iconic and beloved this character is, and how he could have been with different contexts. But anyway, things change in the 2010s. It gets worse. The characters get used even less. No Birdie, no Grimace, hardly any Ronald. They made the Hamburglar attractive for some reason. Why are you endorsing burger theft, McDonald's? The easiest way to make people want to not commit crime is to make them look as lame as possible. Now I don't know if I like Hamburglar or not. He looks like a Fortnite skin. I hate him!
You know, Big Choop, that's not chooperific, not one bit.
Yeah, you said it, Lil Choop. They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
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 I like you now. Lil Choop's my sidekick. Thank you. Oh, you thought that was it? So you know the Happy Meal, the cardboard box with the purpose of happily getting apples ripped out of it with a joyous grin, the same pleasant one we saw back in prior decades? Well, guess what? It has teeth now. This species is known as the Happy. When it's plural, they're the Happies. In this decade, they fully dominate the McDonald's story. They get to be in all the cool crossover commercials. They get to sing and scare everyone. They look like Aardman characters, but worse. These are basically the McDonald's versions of the Minions and the Rabbids, a small marketable army meant to appease Facebook moms, which is funny considering they all interact with each other. Annoying recognizes annoying. Thankfully, they mostly keep to themselves. The only real place they roam around is the location of Happy City, most likely existing in another branch of McDonald's land. So you know what? As long as that evil is contained, I think we're fine. Around this period, we also have Ferris's Fun Funky Farm, an unrelated collection of cartoons preaching about the fruit and dairy within the McDonald's Happy Meals, claiming the milk and apples are good for you. Now this is fine, cute art style and all. Kind of weird that they keep getting McDonald's out on the farm like this, but McDonald's, if you're gonna try marketing the milk and sliced apples in a wet plastic bag and claim that they're healthy, you fail to recognize what McDonald's is. McDonald's. You go to McDonald's when you want an easy cheat meal and want to eat burgers that have buns that taste like the foam and yoga mats. Don't ask me how I know that. Wow, another period in the timeline where nothing was gained or lost, purely interactions with other popular characters, which is something that the McDonald's cast has been doing for years already. Currently, we're burdened with a genuinely awkward period in our timeline. Nothing happens outside of silly slapstick antics. This sure is something, but I hesitate to say if it's good or bad. In fact, I would say this was hard to watch even outside of the commercials. I personally don't know if I would prefer this change or not, but early on, McDonald's were a lot more whimsical and designed for fun. As times have changed, these restaurants have transitioned to being more dull, more universally acceptable. Most of the time, just a sadder place to be in comparison to what it seems. Modern McDonald's looks like what would happen when the evil businessman successfully takes over the town. Even ignoring the restaurants, we have some outside that didn't help. In like 2016, there was this weird time point where people would dress up as clowns. This was a weird phase, just a lot of weird people standing outside in clown getups. There grew a ton of concern against clowns with a lot of anti-clown movement. It set the goofy nose people back 20 years. Though you gotta realize there's some good clowns out there. I'm pro-clown. I support people who believe Hollow Knight Silk Song is gonna release, for God's sakes. Ronald must have felt horrible during all of this. He's proven he has good in his heart. In the position I'm in, I can absolutely appreciate what he's done for the communities, promoting McDonald's or not. Maybe he just wanted more people to come visit him in McDonald's land. It's clear that he loves making a difference and doing good stuff, entertaining, helping those in need. He's so invested in... He's gone door to door to visit families. Oh no, Ronald. It's no coincidence that Ronald was specifically targeted from the 2016 clown sightings. But when the world needed Ronald the most, and when Ronald needed us the most, we turned on him. Ronald has essentially been retired because he canonically cannot help how he looks. Tragically, Ronald McDonald is by technicality a victim of clown segregation. And truthfully, knowing everything we do now, knowing everything we've seen him do and everything he's capable of, it's hard to sit on the side and watch, knowing for certain he deserved better. So I guess we won't be seeing him anymore. The common consensus is that clowns are scary. The general population shuns clowns from being embraced further. But not me though, I think clowns are hot. The 2020s, there might just be a silver lining here. McDonald's started promoting the adult Happy Meals with Grimace, Birdie, and a significantly uglier Hamburglar. I missed the Cabbage Patch Smile in a kind of Stockholmy way. One of the adult toys sees the side characters driving with Cactus Buddy, who I think is a Travis Scott thingy. I'm not too sure, I'm as white as I sound. I listen to anime openings and video game OSTs. My playlist mostly includes songs like Clarity and the one that plays at the end of Surf's Up. Even though they all look like they drank water that had a ton of chemicals in it, I'm glad to see everyone is back to normal. Cactus Buddy can drive so good, it's scary how many mascots can drive, but we're not gonna worry about that. I would also assume this is McDonald's land. I'm not so sure though, at least the whole gang is here to an extent. However, this wasn't enough, not for Grimace, oh no. Then came the Grimace Shake, a beverage of severe and horrifying capabilities. You saw the trends. Funny TikTok man takes a slurp of the purple stuff from this 900-pound beast of purple stuff, and then... Well, nobody has lived to tell the tale of what happens, but if the aftermath is any indicator, Grimace has fallen back into his evil ways, and we should be concerned about the future, especially the youth. Don't allow your kids to drink the purple. Grimace has connections and we should be afraid. And after this, in just a few short months, we would see McDonald's land again, this time with the Nugget Buddies. I miss when they were endorsing eating themselves. It's been too long, like literally too long. The well-regarded musician Kerwin Frost has successfully infiltrated McDonald's land, successfully bringing it back to the public eye. McDonald's land still shines and possibly will see the rise of a new era. So thank you, Kerwin Frost. You've saved McDonald's land. This is truly the best case scenario all around. That son of a bitch, he's still alive. So there you have it. That's the whole adventure. Now, regarding the future, we're actually not entirely sure of what to expect next, but if the past couple years were any indicator, we should expect a lot of old faces sooner than later. I'd imagine Mactonite might be next. Kinda doubt it because I'm pretty sure a few years back he got used as a hate symbol, so he actually might be permanently retired. Happy might make a demonic return way down the line as nostalgia bait because it would be funny. Till then, we can only wait and see how this company that really never needs to advertise ever again decides how to advertise. I hope these guys continue to be used. I hope Birdie actually does anything of value for this line of characters other than be a bird. I hope McDonald's land is prosperous. I hope Grimace doesn't turn to evil again. I hope that Hamburglar finally sticks with being good or not. And I hope Ronald wherever he is and wherever he may be, can finally come home and rejoin his group of friends. But if not, I'm sure he's enjoying his time with his loving wife and beautiful bouncing Ronaldlings that are also characters that exist because, friendly reminder, Ronald has a body count. Also, before anyone leaves comments about plagiarism or anything in specific regarding this video that was released recently, this video script has been completed since January of 2024, and I publicly announced that I would delay it indefinitely for reasons I won't get into. To give an idea, it was supposed to be released instead of this video. I planned my uploads months in advance, in this case over a year. Neither one of us stole from the other. The situation was pure coincidence. I didn't finish watching this video until production of this one was completed, so I'm not accountable. And that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you flipped this statistic around so I can afford to go to a Comic-Con or something. I got plenty more of these little rambles in video that I would recommend if you enjoyed. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this little talk. Just like the sewers, you can really only find something truly endearing if you dig for it. With that being said, I hope you guys are ready for more exciting adventures with Lil Choop. He'll be joining me on all sorts of adventures forever and ever, depending on if it's convenient or not.
Big Choop, I'm hungry.
Well, what do you want me to do about it? We're in a sewer, Lil Choop.
I don't know, I just thought you might have a solution, being large and in charge and all.
We can go get grapes in a minute. Just let me finish this. Also, why did you follow me down here? If you're gonna be hungry, that's on you. I'm not gonna do anything yet. Let me finish. Oh.